Do you want more misunderstood movies and madcap slumber party fun? Well, join us. Join our supercore at patreon.com/cinema insomnia. You can get exclusive perks and help us make this 16th season your favorite Cinema Insomnia season ever. Become one of our patrons. Patrons? Patreons. Patrons. I think you're a patron at Patreon. Yeah, I believe that's how that goes.
Does Tron go to Patreon?
Oh, I hope so. I love Tron. Patreon.com/cinema insomnia.
This space for rent. This signal space to your ears for rent. This space between your ears for rent.
Do you have a product, service, website, company? Propose, perhaps? No, we don't want to do that, right?
You can't propose?
Well, I mean, if you really wanted to propose...
It would be encased forever.
Johnny says, will you marry me, Susie? We could do that, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Why not? If you have a product or service or whatever to promote, people, especially that you want to promote to our listeners, why not become a sponsor?
A sponsor, you say?
Yeah, a sponsor of this program. Contact Mr. Lobo at his personal email. I'm giving this out right now just for you. Okay, right. Don't tell anyone.
Shh,
all right?
Whisper it.
Mr. Lobo, that's MRLOBO, at cinemainsomnia.com. CINEMAINSOMNIA.com.
That sounds so sexy.
Yes. Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. Contact me and we will get you on the air. We will talk about your stuff.
Your stuff. I believe this is the point where we start the program.
Oh, that's right.
And
so why not we get this program started? All systems go.
Hurrah.
Attention, Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. This is the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your host, Alan N. Smithy.
Wait, you're who?
Alan N. Smithy.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am Alan N. Smithy. I may look like Mr. Lobo.
Does this mean I'm doing another show by myself?
No, you're not doing another show by yourself.
Are you in my mind?
No, I'm really here.
Are you... Ow!
You're supposed to pinch yourself if you think you're hallucinating. You don't pinch the hallucination.
But if the hallucination says ouch...
Anyway, Mr. Lobo and I guess a duplicate, a doppelganger of Paul Sanders are at the Greater Philadelphia Comic-Con.
I thought we established a long time ago you do not want a duplicate of me.
We're already on like a fourth generation.
Fourth generation.
This is like multiplicity.
Yes, you're lucky he can form complete sentences. Wait, which version am I?
We can't, that's classified. We can't tell you that.
Okay.
So we're going to be beaming over to the Greater Philadelphia Comic-Con. Now, Greater Philadelphia is not in Philadelphia. It is sort of in the suburbs in Oaks, beautiful Oaks, Pennsylvania, at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, which is this big aluminum and concrete center where they basically have RetroCon and a lot of other conventions.
Isn't it great,
locally.
Philadelphia?
It's greater.
No, but the show is Great Philadelphia Comic Con.
I don't
think it's great because...
Is it called Great Philadelphia?
Yeah, because their original show was in Allentown, and it was the Great Allentown Comic Con.
Okay, but this one is not. This is not technically Philadelphia, though.
No,
I mean that's Greater Philadelphia where it's being
Correct.
held. So then we're getting extra confusing if it's the Great Philadelphia Comic Con in Greater Philadelphia. But Mr. Lobo
Sorry,
is at the Greater Philadelphia Comic Con.
It's the Great Philadelphia Comic Con.
Oh, interesting. The Great Philadelphia Comic Con is in Greater Philadelphia.
Correct.
And
Does that mean that when it was in Allentown, it was just in Greater Allentown? That's why they just carried over the Great into the new.
I suppose. I'm confused.
If they had to bring something with them, I guess they couldn't bring it to Philadelphia and call it the Great Allentown Comic Con anymore.
I guess
It would be
not.
confusing.
Miss Mittens, what do you think? Oh, okay. Well, that's a different perspective.
I didn't understand a word she said.
So we are going to be, I guess, transmitting, switching transmitters, sending Sifford signal, smoke
Now,
signals.
which button is that?
I don't know which. Not the blue one.
Not the shiny red button?
You don't want to press the red button. The shiny, jolly, candy-like button. No, because we could erase our existence, and we only we
Just format the hard drives?
we don't have two. We only have so many Pauls and Lobos to spare.
Oh, the former would be better than the latter.
We have a crisis of infinite Lobos.
Crisis of Infinite Lobos.
But one of our Mr. Lobos is at the Greater Philadelphia Comic Con at Carlos Borloff's table. You know Carlos Borloff?
Who? Boris?
Yes, Boris. Yes, hapless jerk off, as we sometimes call him, not to his face.
Now, what if he listens to this podcast?
He won't. He won't. He can't sit still long enough to listen to a podcast. But he'll be on it.
Okay.
We'll try to interview him and maybe on later podcasts.
Okay. Or a clone of him.
But for right
this show's
now,
going.
Mr. Lobo is going to be talking to Sleazy P. Martini, who is also at Carlos Borloff's table. Now, it's not actually Sleazy P. Martini, but Don Drakulich, who looks incredibly like Sleazy P. Martini.
Who? Have we met him before?
Yes, you have. Yeah, when you filmed the promo for OSI, where Mr. Lobo, Carlos Borloff, and Sleazy are in the diner.
Oh, that must have been clone number 1. I don't remember.
Okay, maybe that wasn't.
Maybe
you that
that.
filmed
Maybe
that.
that's why I don't have memory problems. It's just because
If you
it's
watch
different
OSI
means.
74 on Roku #plugged, there is a promo with animation of the eyesore monster.
Need more stuff.
Yes, more stuff. We asked the question is asked, what do we need to do on the channel, and the answer is
More stuff.
more stuff, and that's what we're going to be doing.
Whatever happened to the rest of that footage? There's like a half an hour of footage.
I know there is a lot more stuff that we haven't seen.
It's only like a 30-second spot.
I know.
Spoilers.
I just wish if we could.
This ties back to my comment a couple podcasts ago where we just collect a lot of files.
A lot of footage, and if we had nothing else to do but to prepare a video for you, man, there'd be a lot of video for you guys to see. So that's a good prompt for people to support us on Patreon.
Yeah.
And get us out of the ghetto so that we can make more video.
Okay.
Get editing and get slogged through all that video that we've shot and make something out of it.
Now I don't know what hand gesture I have to make to send you down there, so I'm going to do this.
Oh no, don't do that. No, Paul, that is foul. Paul's making all kinds of hand gestures. It became a dinosaur or something at some point. But we are, I guess, going to be transmitting the signal from Greater Philly. We're going to be switching here at the switch box. Paul's going to pull a few levers and turn a few knobs, and we will be back, or maybe we won't be, but you will be at the Greater Philly Comic Con. You're not dreaming. We are here at Greater Philly Comic Con. Boy, oh boy, a lot of people, a lot of crowds. We're set up here on a corner booth. It's going to be a big kind of an OSI reunion. We have Carlos Borloff and Mr. Lobo, and sitting to my left right now, a legend, industry legend.
Really?
Yes.
My own mind only.
Don Drakulich, otherwise known as Sleazy P. Martini from the universe of GWAR. Intergalactic rock. Are they an intergalactic rock band,
They
sort
are.
of?
They are. You know. You get closer.
Closer to the
I will
mic,
get
please.
closer.
Don, I'm sorry.
I'm closer now.
Intergalactic, they landed in Antarctica.
Yeah, here's the thing about that, right?
Yeah.
So this is what happens when two people shoehorn their ideas together.
Okay.
And compromise, right?
Yes.
Hunter Jackson wanted him to be space pirates. So they were from outer space. And Dave wanted him to be a metal band from Antarctica.
Okay.
So how do you bring those two ideas together? They're from outer space, but they crashed in Antarctica.
They crashed in Antarctica, and Sleazy found them, right?
Right, they were frozen in Antarctica, and then Sleazy.
Now, what was Sleazy doing in Antarctica?
Sleazy was on the run from the, I believe, the U.S. government, the IRS in particular. But yeah, his helicopter was shot down by extra-military forces working for, I believe, the IRS, the U.S. government.
Okay, and was Sleazy managing talent at that time, or just selling crack?
He was. He had just been managing a band called the Pansies from Hell.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's okay. Well, we have a customer here. Someone is at the table here trying to buy some merchandise.
He's haggling hard.
Haggling hard.
We learned that last week. Is once you run the mics, then you start making sales.
Yeah. The microphones attract customers somehow. As soon as you turn the mics up, as soon as you do something that you have to not pay attention, then the audience is interested.
It's that way with girls, right? As soon as you have a girlfriend, then other girls suddenly take interest in you.
Right, and because we're talking to our audience right now, the people here are getting jealous.
Right,
They're
exactly.
like, hey, don't talk to them, look at me. So Sleazy finds these Antarctic alien rockers. Do they know they're rockers yet?
No, so that's the thing. So he has some ideas about what he can do with them in his mind. So he lures them back to New York City somehow with with cocaine as the bribe, crack cocaine is the bribery, and he has them holed up in his apartment for a while, and he's trying to figure out, well, what can I do with them? And it kind of follows the Spider-Man mythos, basically. He thinks, well, they're big and ugly and strong and tough, but I'll make them into professional wrestlers. And he tries them out in wrestling. In fact, that's kind of what this story is about.
Oh, okay.
And they don't understand how to fake a wrestling match.
So they just start killing.
Yeah, they figure, that's what...
They start killing the other wrestlers.
They don't understand the rules.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This guy's attacking me, and that's the way they deal with things normally, so...
Well, that's good that's at least in the comics, because I always felt there should have been a movie or something with all of this happening.
Absolutely. I want to see, though, like, I don't know, Harry Dean Stanton play me or something like that. Though he's dead, so that's too bad.
I don't think he is dead.
No?
No, I don't think Harry Dean Stanton's dead yet.
Or James Woods. He'd be good as Sleazy P.
I think
Martini.
you could still be Sleazy.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. But I'm thinking, let's start with clean slate and just recast everything. With the top dollar, Disney Marvel style production.
Yeah, I'm trying to... Those guys seem a little long in the tooth. I think you have to find some fresh...
That's what I'm thinking.
Fresh,
and
young...
I'm okay with that. As long as I...
I'm trying to think
who
would...
I get a small percentage.
Maybe like Steve Buscemi could be
That's
Sleazy.
a good one. I like that.
But maybe
Buscemi
even he isn't
Sleazy.
contemporary enough. I'm not sure.
Maybe if Val Kilmer was to make a comeback and get healthy again, he would be good. I know Val Kilmer would be a great
Val
Sleazy.
Kilmer could do anything. If he can be Jim Morrison...
Or Doc Holliday.
Or Doc Holliday.
Awesome.
He can be Sleazy P. Martini. So
I'll be a Huckleberry.
So Sleazy began as this sort of side character in the GWAR universe, right?
Well, he was there pretty much. As soon as the mythos came together, he was already there.
Yeah.
But initially, he was called Sluggo P. Martini.
Okay.
And we had two other people try to play him on stage. And it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Yes.
And
okay.
so, then I said, I'll play him. And then I took him and I added the word, I changed the name to Sleazy, from Sluggo to Sleazy.
Yeah.
And I took him in that basically Tony Clifton direction.
Yeah,
Which I realized later, I'd forgotten about Tony Clifton. And then when I noticed how the character evolved, I was heavily influenced by that Tony Clifton character.
Well, there was also, I think, there was kind of the lounge singer sort of, with the giant pompadour. I
Right.
don't know where that trope starts, but I think.
Well, it seems like Elvis kind of really
guess
starts
that's where that trope
because that's
is.
what people would
But your
frequently compare me to.
pompadour is like the ultimate.
Esquivel, perhaps? maybe,
Ultimate
no?
mega pompadour, Now, how big is that pompadour that is part of your character?
I don't know. I wouldn't have any dimensional measurements, but it's pretty heavy.
And when
It's
you have to
probably
wear a
about
five-
5-pound wig to counteract a 5-pound wig.
So it's a 5-pound
So it's
wig.
about 10 pounds on my
10-pound
head.
rig.
8 to 10 pounds on my head. It's
That's-
really tiresome.
That must.
On the neck and on the hairline. The
Wow.
hairline, it puts a lot of pressure right there.
And then the suit is made out of what? Speedboat?
Auto,
Is it a speedboat cover?
Yeah. Marine upholstery.
Upholstery.
Cover, yeah.
So this sort of like metal flake.
Like something you would see on a pimp's boat.
Vinyl metal flake.
Crack dealer's boat in a
yeah.
rap video. This
Okay.
is what.
So speedboat upholstery
Yeah.
suit.
Yeah.
And then giant chains, giant gold
Plastic.
chains.
Just that kind you buy at a.
And then elevator shoes.
Well, it was
Right?
originally I had nice big ones with mirrors on them, and those are
Yeah.
the best. But that stuff just kept breaking, and once you get about 3 inches, then you're really kind of taking your life in your in your hands when you're walking around.
Yeah.
And I'm already 6'3", so that's kind of wasted. Once I'm once I'm over 7 feet, it just
Right.
gets ridiculous.
Now, do
kinda.
you smoke cigarettes for real, or is just the character?
On stage and in my show? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I smoke cigarettes for real. Then
And that now does that get so if you're
I'm not. I hate to break this to you. I know I'm
Yeah.
gonna sound like a total wimp, but I'm a mouth smoker,
Oh, okay.
So, you
okay.
know.
But you don't get sick.
so I don't get sick. Although I feel a little bit of that nicotine
Because
buzz
like
you get through
when
your mouth.
we did Cinema Insomnia, the first pilot that we shot was called Insomniac Theater. I had a pipe. Now this was just an old pipe. This was not a pipe that was being used.
Right.
But just having it in my mouth
On
and
it.
tasting
You were
the,
getting
the-
nicotine
the
in there.
tobacco made me want to barf.
Oh, wow. I'm not a nicotine fan in general. I've
Yeah.
been the kind of person who did inhale smoke
Yes.
and never really liked the effects and certainly never got the smoking bug. I don't have to worry about that.
Because you can't imagine Sleazy without a cigarette, I don't think.
Not really.
Yeah.
I was thinking imagine him today, though. I was thinking, you know
Yeah.
what? If I have to, I could switch to gum. That's pretty sleazy, too. In
I
fact,
guess that's
sometimes
true.
gum is sleazier than cigarettes.
Depends on where you stick it.
Yeah.
We're going to stick some gum on our microphones here, and we're going to come back and we're going to have more Sleazy P. Martini after this quick commercial break.
Attention Games Warrior, begin!
The name for your games, Circuit City. Plug in and save on Beavis and Butthead. Save on Mortal Kombat 2. Save on Donkey Kong Country. Become a Games Warrior. Buy one game and get $5 off the second.
Remember the name for your games, Circuit City!
And we're back. We are still here at Greater Philly Comic Con. I'm here with Don Drakulich. We're talking about Sleazy P. Martini and GWAR, intergalactic rock band. And so you were there from the beginning. You were involved with the fabrication of a lot of the gear and the monsters, the creations.
I made a prop for the very first, I guess you'd say, official GWAR show. And, like lots of things, there's kind of debate over what is officially the first GWAR show. When GWAR first started, it was just, hey, you've got some crazy costumes, you're working on this movie. Can we put these on and open for ourselves, i.e. Death Piggy, the punk rock band in Richmond? Can we open for ourselves? We'll call ourselves GWAR or something
Okay.
like that. It was, I think initially it was GWAR.
Yeah.
And they decided to shrink it down
Shorten
and make
it
it
just
more
GWAR,
right.
yeah. I always thought of those Where Monsters Dwell Marvel Comics, where it was these weird names that all the monsters and things in comic books always had, where it was almost an onomatopoeia more than a name.
Yeah. Well, it's a power word. It's
Yeah.
a meaningless power word.
Yeah.
It's always been what it was.
Ega.
And so people never got that. They were
Yeah.
always, what's that stand for?
GWAR.
Gay women against rape?
Yeah.
Gay weird anal reprobates?
Always gay, huh?
Yeah, or something.
Yes.
It's like, well, what can you do? Oh, God, what a racket.
God,
Always
what
gay.
a racket. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
A Washington Post writer came up with that. and he just passed it off as if it was fact. He just made it up for a story.
Nice.
And, attributed nothing to
That's
it.
some good journalism.
No disclaimer. Yeah, that's where it comes from. That was my first opening, and then you watch other journalists, they assume, once they research that, the subject, and that article comes up, they assume, oh, that's just fact. And so they repeat it. And then there you have it.
And there you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
So GWAR, you were involved both on the creative side and then now how often did you perform, or was there a certain point where they decided they want you to do a song? I mean, how did this character go from kind of being part of the backstory to being more active in the
making
group?
costumes and then looking enviously, like wanting to be involved in the stage show, of course, like all the artists did.
Yeah.
And then when the Sluggo guys didn't work out, I was like, hey, I'll do that. Raise my hand, know. And from there, right, I did my first stage appearance was Halloween '86, which is the infamous Schaefer Court show.
Yeah.
The first prop I built was the 1985, November, October, something like that. It's called the P.B. Kelly Show. That was the first official GWAR show. It was a dedicated band, not Death Piggy.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I didn't figure and wrap that story up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I just got off track myself. But it was no longer just Death Piggy wearing costumes. It was an actual dedicated band that Dave Brocky had put together. That was the P.B. Kelly Show. And that was the first show I ever built I built a prop for. So that's the Fish GWAR show proper.
Yes.
And then my first show I actually was in as a reoccurring character was Schaefer Court Halloween as Sleazy. I came out, in fact, holding this corpse and saying, this is what you do to my brother Sluggo, That was the premise of me coming in. I found out that GWAR had killed my brother, because they didn't want him as a manager anymore. Of course, we just did away with that part of the mythos completely later. Yeah. So that it was Sleazy discovering him in Antarctica.
Well, Sleazy would have taken the credit anyway.
Yeah, of course. That's right in that's in his wheelhouse, totally.
Yeah.
But the first time I was ever on stage was the summer of '86, and it was the avid fan who gets his arm ripped off. Like, I want to shake your hand, man.
Hey, and then rip. Yeah. And so right from the beginning, blood spraying out into the audience.
That was inspired by the
Gallagher.
No, more like Monty Python.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Okay.
I forgot the name of the sketch. But
Sam Peckinpah.
Where he comes
right?
in, Sam Peckinpah does what?
Sam Peckinpah's Salad Days.
Yep, that's it.
Yes. So it's a film, and these guys do tennis anyone?
Right.
And then he comes in, and the tennis racket accidentally knocks someone's arm off or head off.
And the decap was inspired by there's the one short appearance of what? Remember Princess Anne showing up with a fake head and shoulders, running around, kicking soccer balls.
Pantomime Princess Anne or whatever. Yes.
Right. So you throw those two elements together.
Yeah. So Monty Python was an influence on you guys.
Dave especially.
Yeah.
Steve Martin.
Yeah. Devo, perhaps?
Devo, of course, just kind of in the way of there's a concept band, having a concept act or a concept band.
Yeah, you got a concept, and you've got a kind of a whole art movement almost.
Yeah, there's not the separation between a real, let's say, what is that? It's not one and the same. It's like, Marilyn Manson is always Marilyn Manson, right? If you look at Marilyn Manson, you can kind of imagine Marilyn Manson in reality, in real life. Maybe he'd look weird too there, but we see a lot of other weird people operating amongst us as the same persona.
Yeah.
But GWAR was just a dedicated stage persona.
Yeah, and you really couldn't function at the supermarket or anything like that as Sleazy or as any of these characters.
As if you'd ever want to.
Yeah.
It's a horrible way to go through life, wearing stinky latex, offending everyone.
5-pound counterweight for your hair every day.
Awful. That's why I'm so grateful to have been in a band like that, because I can, once I drop the persona, then I'm a fly on the wall. I get to hear everybody, say, "Oh, that band sucks."
I don't blend. I'm always Mr. Lobo.
Well, that's true. You are Mr. Lobo.
I don't blend. That's why I chose this persona, because I can't really be anything else. It's very hard for me to look like I can't do a disguise.
But that has its advantages. That's a great thing too, because that has its perks. You know, you're getting recognized more often.
I don't have as much prep. Like you and Carlos are or Borloff.
Yeah.
You know, you guys have to go and get in your drag before a show, and that's a lot of work.
Right.
I just put on a tie and I'm Mr. Lobo.
I've got it down to about 15, 20 minutes. It's not too bad.
That's good. That's quick. But that's from a lifetime of getting into that outfit, right? Mm-hmm. Are you always worried that something's going to happen to it, like it's going to get crushed, or something's going to happen to the costume?
No, I was worried that I won't have packed something crucial.
Yeah.
Like one shoe will be missing. Oh, the belt's gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. That must feel awful when you know that one piece.
All my chains are gone.
Oh,
if all your chains are gone, forget it.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
No, not without the chains. No. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, but somehow I don't lose it.
Okay. All right. So we are. So you do convention like this. Do people want to see you in costume? They want Sleazy to sign those autographs,
Well,
right?
yeah, because they want to get that photo op in there as well.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
like they're paying a little bit of money. They want to get the photo op along with it. Who can blame them, right? Yeah.
Could we talk a little bit about, I guess, just the changes the band has gone through? I know there's been a lot, but if we could get like the short version of getting us up to date with the band in general.
Wow. Where to start?
Is there a short version?
There's
Maybe
like
not.
been what? 4 Beefcake the Mighties.
Wow.
There's been 4 or 5 lead guitarists. It was Flatus, and then he got changed to Pustulus.
Okay.
Because after Pete Lee, after Corey Smoot died, there was a decision not to, kind of retire that character as well.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you replace the character, and sometimes you just have someone else playing the same character.
It's true. Beefcake has not been replaced yet.
Yeah.
He just, the person's been replaced 4 times.
Yeah.
So Beefcake's 4 times.
And certain characters you probably couldn't replace, like Slymenstra Hyman, you probably couldn't replace her because
tried sort of with that Volvatron character, but that didn't work out.
But that's a different name than a different character.
Name, wasn't the same character.
Yeah.
But yeah, Slymenstra, irreplaceable, I would think.
Yeah.
Odorous is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Our fans would be outraged if we'd have put someone else in
And
the
here's
costume.
the new Odorous.
Yeah.
That would be like sacrilege, right?
Yeah.
Now, are there a lot of people who are upset that a lot of people think that the band should end with Odorous?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure. The arbiters of your career. They watched you, so they believe that by their simple participation as spectators,
they get to decide when you call it quits.
what your career where it should go.
Yeah.
It's I don't know where that comes from. The same,
entitlement?
I see them in
fan entitlement.
I see that in sports.
That's a stranger to this place.
I see that in sports all the time.
Yeah.
The parallel as Michael Jordan as a Washington Wizard, never. Oh, Joe Montana as a Kansas City Chief, I just can't see it. So whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think when you're a fan, there is you get that vicarious, like you feel like you're part of it,
right?
And then when it doesn't go the way you think it should go, suddenly you think it's going wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
So you turn against it.
So you turn against the thing you love, like a punk.
Instead of just letting it go.
Yeah.
Like what I did.
Just stop buying the album, and then someone else can buy the album.
I love Devo, and then after New Traditionalists, I kind of like
New Traditionalists? Okay, you know what?
I know.
Sleazy and I are going to have an argument
well,
right
that's
here.
The thing. I came back to that stuff and liked it later.
Sleazy and I are going to fight over Devo here during the break, and we're going to come back
to New Traditionalists.
So I'm going to force Sleazy to like New Traditionalists. We'll be right back.
Here's this guy taking us down a deep, dark mine shaft of perversion. For crying out loud.
So, all right, what are our goals? What do we want to do? We have a whole channel. We have the fans out there who are waiting to see what we're going to do next. What do we want to do?
More stuff. Old Sleazy is here to keep you off suicide watch by making this another tolerable Friday night. Yes, we've got it all here tonight. Sound, colors, pictures that move. Everything that you could want from a bum fight video without all that icky, guilty feeling afterwards.
I thought this was called Crippled Masters. How is this guy crippled? Can he wipe his own ass is what I'd like to know. Not that I would want to see it. I hope this guy found a nice, secluded phone booth miles away from any bulldozers. I doubt if there's any noisy, slow-moving bulldozers. Ah!
Watch it on OSI 74.
Beautiful World. That was it, huh? You were out.
I wasn't out, but it was like
Love Without Anger.
It was
Beautiful
already,
World.
It was already It was fading a little bit, a little bit. But I go on this rant a lot. You know how all these bands have that moment where you know it's over.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah.
Remember, like the Clash, rockin' the Casbah, and you're like, oh.
But that was their biggest hit.
I know it usually is. It usually is. It's just like Talking Heads, loved them, first 4 albums, and then Burning Down the House, and you're like,
and that was their biggest hit.
Really?
So what? They just
and
sold
then
out. Is that was in your mind? Where they sell out?
No, it wasn't sell out. It's just something about it. Just didn't sound like what you visualize those bands like. And that, of course, goes hand in hand with the commercial appeal now that happens. It's like, GWAR fans are doing that with the new album to a degree. It's been, one of the better selling, more popularly received albums. And their GWAR fans are like, oh, I don't like this direction, selling out and this and that. And
yeah.
So,
a lot of people thought I sold out when I did the Plan 9 movie.
You did. Just letting you know.
Yeah, did you lose respect for Mr. Lobo?
Totally.
Wow.
I was like, I better put another blanket down on the couch where I sleep tonight. I might catch his cooties.
Well, all
his
right.
uncoolness will rub off on me.
Yeah, I sold out.
No. You were everybody said this that night. You were the best part of that movie.
Thank you.
That was the problem. The acting was uneven.
Well, it is Plan 9,
Yeah.
and it was uneven, but, I had a good time, and it was a good role for me, and I certainly would do it again. And again, it's like you have to keep going forward and doing different things.
You saved that movie practically, single-handedly. By the way, I always wanted to wonder.
Yeah.
Did the guy make money with it? Or is it a break-even situation?
This is the reason. The way I feel like that movie was like flipping a house. They probably paid back all their investors and they sold it to a distributor. Maybe made a little bit for themselves.
Yeah.
And
but
then
they
never,
had the fun of
never
doing it
looked
and
back.
experience, and you got that on your reel.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So I think I saw it. Was it on Netflix or something like that?
It's been on Amazon.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's on Netflix, but it's on a lot of them.
Okay.
It's on a lot of them. It's and it's on Vudu. So it's on a lot of those services, big services.
Well, I was there, and
I'm
we watched it.
and it's funny because that was a few years ago now, and it's starting to people are screening it places and appreciating it more. So maybe
it's growing legs, as they say in the industry.
Maybe
that's gonna take off.
Be a cult classic in 40 years.
Cult classic.
So, I mean, that's hard when you're considered a cult fame, right? Which is like fame without fortune usually.
Well, yeah, there you go. You were talking about fans who get irate about the change in direction in your career. When you're cult, then they're really sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Because they feel like the exclusivity. They're losing the exclusivity when you go popular. Like, now everybody likes this thing that I've always liked. It's been my special.
Right,
little...
and if you think of yourself as a connoisseur of film, and you like things that the base, unwashed masses don't understand, then suddenly when they start liking that, you're like, this thing is done, right? Yep. I am not into it. Well,
exactly.
we were joking earlier about the hipster peer pressure, where it's like no one else is doing it, right? Instead, that's so
the opposite of everyone's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that you're still a slave to convention. You're still a tool if you dislike something because it's popular. That's the same trip as liking something because it's popular.
More or less.
At a certain point, you need to decide for yourself whether you think something's good or bad.
The Beatles suck.
See, now
They came to me while listening
Yes.
to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely
Boy,
Hearts
the
Club
Beatles
Band.
really suck.
I was like, oh man, this is just George Martin telling him to glue a bunch of little pieces together.
Yes, a bunch of
and-
calliope noises
yeah,
together.
some stupid horns, trying to do the Beach Boys, but not having nearly the orchestral brilliance of Brian Wilson. No way.
I think that what's interesting, we're talking about favorite bands and influences, is that whenever I ask people like musically what their influence is, and then they'll say the Beatles, like that tells me zero about you.
Yeah.
That's
like, what's your favorite thing in the world? Air. I love breathing air.
I love pizza. I hate Mondays.
Yeah. Turn-offs. Negative dudes.
It's like I like the outdoors and sunshine.
Right.
Yeah.
Long walks on the beach.
That's right. And men who aren't afraid to cry.
Yeah.
So to a certain degree, there is something to when you have something that you have an affection for, that it is something that's personalized and something that kind of expresses you and represents you. And I understand a little bit of that.
You identify.
But
self-identification is a big part of the cultural phenomenon.
Sure. Absolutely. But it is interesting when the fans turn against the thing that they're fans of.
When I got into Devo, one of the things we would do, right, is we'd rush home and alter our consciousness, and then we'd play their album or albums really loud, and we'd jump around pretending to be Devo. And that's what your fans are doing. They're in their mind, they're projecting, astral projecting themselves into the performance.
Mm-hmm.
They're identifying with their favorite guitarist, their favorite lead singer, whatever member it is, or they're an extra character even. Hey, we got a third guitarist now.
That's
and
right.
Led Zeppelin, awesome. Hey, everybody, so, when that gets disrupted, when you disrupt that, like you get rid of their certain favorite element, then the reaction can be more than negative. It can be like vehement.
Yes.
And speaking of which, right, when I posted a Roku how-to put GWAR TV on, how to subscribe to Roku TV, and
hashtag plugged.
There was plenty of fans.
GWAR TV, add it to your Roku today.
Right. Exactly. I was trying to do that, but anyways, so it says 70,000 people reached,
Yeah.
And like I was saying to you before, even if you got 1 in 10,000 people, are rabidly against you now because Dave Brockie has passed on, and don't feel free to express themselves about it. That's 7 real nasty letters on your Facebook page.
How dare you sell out?
Yeah, it was. Fuck you, Sleazy P. Martini, you washed up has-been. And then from there it went on. And the funny part is, like, that's fair. I'm washed up.
Wow.
I would like to sell out, but what I'm selling, no one's buying. But I'm still trying. So.
Yeah, well, you have a right to make a living just like everyone else.
I would like to. I know.
I always think it's funny. We've got a couple supporters on Patreon and other places who are both my fans and your fans, probably because of OSI 74, hashtag plugged. But people who think because I don't think anyone thinks Mr. Lobo's sexy. But people think Sleazy is sexy.
Is weird.
I mean, does that bother you that people are attracted to that character?
I don't know about bother, but yeah, I'm off put, or I'm sort of, I'm verklempt about it. But you know what? That's. I hate to say it. And maybe I'll go sexist now.
Yeah.
But that is an insight into the female psyche. Girls like bad boys.
Bad boys, and he makes no apologies.
Yep.
Powerful.
Yep.
Not wishy-washy.
Yep.
Knows what he wants.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Everything I'm not, and that's probably why.
Hold on,
he does
Paul.
better
I'm not
than I do.
understanding your hand signals.
minute.
Okay.
Right?
No.
No.
Just this is one. Don't add zeros. And what's that finger doing?
Yeah. Is
Oh,
it 10 minutes? Is it one?
damn it.
One.
All right.
One,
Okay.
one,
Just one is the one finger,
one.
and then C is 30 seconds. Are we at 30 seconds now?
We are now.
Are we wrapping this up for good? All right, we're
Not
wrapping
for good,
it.
you still got one more segment.
Oh, one more segment.
okay, great.
So
wax eloquently.
we've got
more
one
about
more
this
segment
weird
with
Sleazy P.
This is exciting.
Sleazy P as a sex symbol phenomenon.
Sleazy P
that
is
no
a
one
sex
can figure
symbol
out.
that no one can figure out. We will be back with a very sexy Sleazy P Martini right after this.
That our guests on the Headbangers Ball tonight are GWAR! Pearl Jam! No, it's GWAR. Odorous Youngish and Slimenstra Hyman. And I was able to attend the wonderful GWAR show in Los Angeles with the Dickies about 3 weeks ago. And before the show, you let some of the wonderful GWAR fans come up and just prove what
How stupid they really are, basically, yes.
And when I was there, one guy set his hair on fire, and what are some of the other things that the typical GWAR fans will do before a GWAR show just to be on stage?
Mutilate their genitals, kill postmen, slaughter the family pets and bring them in a nice tasty souffle down to the show. It's all a big thing so we can get victims for our world maggot, which crashes up out of the stage at the end of the set and devours the entire studio audience.
And these are type of the things that what can a GWAR person that's never been to a GWAR show look forward to? Because there are some people out there that have never
the
seen.
world maggot this year, you see, we are trying to get home to our home worlds.
Yes, we're trying to escape your miserable planet once and for all. I think the average person who hasn't seen GWAR before and comes to one of our cannibalistic and mutilation blood orgies can expect defilement, debasement, debauchery, and of course a deli tray afterwards.
And I know a lot of people, we're going to play your video, Jack the World, a little bit.
Oh,
and
good.
a lot of people are real curious if they're planning the GWAR Unplugged record soon. Is that coming out?
Well, that's all of you people here at MTV. This is the only show that's got the guts to have GWAR on it. GWAR Unplugged. It's going to be great.
We'll be back with more GWAR and Headbangers Ball. Stick around.
We had to have a chat. We had to go over all the hand signals with Paul again. He's still making hand gestures over there. He's making like bird animals. Yeah, there he is. Balloon animals now. So Sleazy P Martini, and now this, I guess, falls into my next question.
Yes.
I guess, is that, I mean, there is some satirical aspects to GWAR.
Right.
These are kind of larger than life, extremely negative characters.
Right.
Some of your fans are not in on this humorous aspect. Of
Well,
these
it's hard
characters.
to say, isn't it? That's kind of the measurement of intellect, right? Mm-hmm. Those that get the joke and those that don't. I mean, more or less, you can split it that way. And we saw the ones who weren't getting the joke show up a lot, especially early on. Now, to tell you the truth, I don't think there's so much of that. Now it's nostalgia.
Okay.
I mean, like, for instance, when I put up the post saying, hey, Sleazy will be at this Comic-Con, and Facebook sends back your message is really popular with males 35 to 40. Do you want to boost it? And,
So it's these wistful 40-year-olds
they
going,
come up to you.
Oh, man.
They come
back
up to
in
you.
the 90s, that was the shit, man.
Yeah, no, they say, I saw you. That's when I first saw you. I was 15 at such and such.
I saw you on the Joan Rivers show,
Right,
man, and
yeah.
it changed my life.
Changed my life.
You were on Springer,
And they're
man.
never-
You guys totally blew my
They're
mind.
never rocket scientists or
They're not Mensa.
doctors or
No.
chess champions
MIT.
or anything like that.
No.
Rarely. There are a few.
Yeah.
You're just surprised. A few, but overall, they're more like, sheetrock hangers and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And then,
yeah.
Why we changed your life, huh? Uh-oh.
Now you're hanging
Sorry.
sheetrock. Yeah, sorry.
about that.
Wow. So
No offense to
but
sheetrock
you-
hangers
But you
who
don't-
like
your
GWAR.
fans don't scare you sometimes?
Only when you're on stage and they're in that stupor.
Yeah.
That kind of like weird, super drunk bloodlust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kill him!
Yeah.
You
Kill
know,
everyone!
You're trying to do some kind of witty dialogue that you have. We're talking to some rubber creature on stage. You wrote that with the rest of GWAR and thought it was so pithy that everybody's going to laugh
This
hysterically.
layered political social satire.
Just wasted.
Yeah.
It's a because no one can hear what's going on next to the guy.
show
going,
us your tits!
Kill him!
Kill him!
Kill him! From the moment he appears on stage, they see it's a rubber guy, so
Yeah.
he's gonna die.
Yeah.
They're not interested in anything you have to say. Just get Cut to
Get
the
right to the squirting.
chop instead of the chase. Cut to the chop.
Penis cannon, squirting blood.
Right, come on, just get the spew going.
Yep.
And so you're like, sometimes it's a little disheartening, but you know that somewhere out there, there's some smarter people. They stayed in the back, and they actually could hear what was being said on the PA, and they chuckled.
Well, I think it's what's neat about it is like any art form, and what we were saying before, people put their own personality into it, and it's part of their lives.
You know what? That's kind of what's happening with the Sleazy pictures. What I'm trying to do. I'm sure. I'm sure most GWAR fans aren't really digging the show that much. Just chances are. I don't know, but I think
it is a whole new audience too.
That's it. That's it. I'm like, hey, this is something I would like to do on my own. And those who might be into this sort of thing will follow me, and those who don't, that's cool. If you think this isn't, what Sleazy is,
before
okay.
OSI 74 was a glimmer in my eye. You invited me to the Slave Pit,
right?
And you talked about wanting to be a horror movie host.
Nice.
And I think the only thing I had said is that it's got to be exploitation movies,
right? I knew that.
And then at some point when OSI was starting, I had called you up and I think I just said, hey, did you still want to do that show?
That's exactly it. And I said, yeah.
And then you just started doing it. And what was amazing is that the output was, I think, the shortest learning curve in film hosting history.
I'll have to take your word for that.
It was so great to watch that evolve from show to show to show. They got better and funnier. And I always like to tell people it is the smartest and the crudest show.
Eric Miller said the same thing. He said the same thing about it, which I found was, oh, wow, I guess there must be something to that.
And the commentary is clever, and you put a lot of work into it, a lot of heart and soul in it, and it's obviously that the project's close to you. And I think that's what people pick up on.
Yeah. My wife, like a couple months ago, said, "Don't you think it's time to end this?"
Oh,
don't you think? Come on,
no,
this isn't going anywhere.
Come
on, you're not making it. It's time to end this. And it felt like somebody had stabbed me in the heart. And then of course I braced myself and I said, "No, it's not over. It's not over. I'm sticking with it."
Yeah.
Till
I
rat
say
bastard.
it's over. Yeah. Well,
that's my baby. Don't you take my baby.
And like
give me back my son.
Well, and I feel like this with Cinema Insomnia. It's like, I've been canceled so many times.
Yeah.
Obviously I could have just walked away and did something else. But it's part of me. It's part of my character. It's part of my persona. It's part of how I express myself. And as long as there's somebody out there who wants to see me hosting movies, I'm just going to keep doing it because I enjoy it.
To continue to do Sleazy pictures, even if there is no method of broadcasting it. I will watch it myself. That's how important it is to me. I'll be my own audience, and I'll chuckle. Oh, that was a good one. Or, I don't know how that made it. That should have hit the floor while it was in script form. That never should have been edited in there. Oh, that was bad.
Well, and again, at a certain point, it is just part of you. I mean, we all three of us, we all go through those hoops of, maybe you're lamenting that it's not quite hitting as hard or not going as big as maybe we think it should.
Oh, I have totally had that feeling the last trailer I did.
Yeah.
The coming soon for Flesh Gordon. I said, this is it. This is so brilliantly funny. It will catapult me straight to the top of the comedy
We
world.
are going to win the internet.
Yes, I'm going to crush it. This will go so viral, it will shut the whole system down. And it's like, 450 likes and, some thumbs up, no comments.
Yes.
Nobody's quoting any lines from it saying, hey.
Well, and again, big or small, you never know. It's going to be the thing you put the least amount of effort into.
That's what you keep saying. The ones I think are the weakest.
Take off like wildfire.
I found it's complete opposite.
Yeah?
The ones I felt strongly about going in usually end up the ones that are the best coming out.
Yeah. Okay.
So far, I was like Super Soul Brother has been I think it was my weakest effort.
Yeah.
Calamity of Snakes too, even though that's a good movie.
It's a live show, so
It's a live show,
different
so it's
vibe to it.
tough to, you know.
You had to
you like to
navigate
do
the
2
whole-
or 3 takes of every
yeah.
line. Instead, you've got one.
You had, you know.
And I found myself forcing myself, like getting into this kind of Rodney Dangerfield sort of, hey,
Well,
everything hit this guy. Hey.
And you've been battling your teleprompter there for a few episodes, I think.
Oh,
A little
that was
bit.
awful.
Yeah.
This last episode, I realized I watched one of the monologues. I think it was a finishing monologue, and I must have been tired and a little hungover from the partying we had been doing while we were doing 2 episodes that weekend. And it was like the face was dead. You know, it was just my mouth moving, and the face was just dead. You know, I'm like watching it
like a
later
chimp
after
with
it's
peanut
edited.
butter on your lips.
The
Yeah.
eyes were just
Yeah.
completely locked on the screen. It was
Yeah.
obvious. Yeah.
And your point?
My point was, I still suck sometimes. And I did,
well,
but overall, I really like this like my most recent episode. I do. I like it.
This is Flesh Gordon.
Flesh Gordon.
Okay.
So I think it's one of the better ones.
So this will probably be on the channel by the time you hear this, more than likely. So please.
Which will, when's it airing? Next week? By next weekend?
Probably what? A couple weeks? 3 weeks probably
for
for
sure.
this. So it'll
We'll
already
see
been
by
on.
then.
So please watch Sleazy Pictures After Dark. Sleazy P. Martini hosting Flesh Gordon.
And maybe you could like comment on it or something. Make me feel like there's an actual
You know,
audience out there.
Sleazy seems like a hard-boiled guy, but deep down in there is Don, who is crippled and
insecurities.
emotionally insecure. He wants to hear all of your nice comments. He wants you to stroke his ego.
I do, but let's just remember one thing. I don't need any of you. I'll do this by myself if I have to.
He doesn't need you, but he really wants you to like it. Don,
like me. Please, really like me.
Don, thank you so much for being
All right,
on
thanks.
Sleepless Nights. We're going to throw it back over to Paul in the studio.
Okay.
But thank you for being on the podcast.
yeah, it's
This was
fun.
very enlightening. Maybe you can come join us again sometime.
Absolutely. We'll
All
do
right.
another one.
Thank you, Don. All right, well, we're back in the studio. Thank you, Mr. Lobo and Sleazy P. Martini and Paul number 3 or 2, or who was that over there doing the hand gestures?
I don't know. Speaking of hand gestures,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's been a year from the last great or greater Philadelphia Comic Con that you taught me the hand gestures. And the only one I ever use is this one.
Yeah, Paul, that's not a TV safe.
It's really weird that he halted the other Paul. For
Okay,
hand gestures that we never use.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
What does this one mean?
Let's wrap it up.
What does this one mean?
That's a quacking duck.
What does this one mean?
That's a dove flying.
What does this one mean?
I don't know. It's like a caterpillar or let's a little brief lesson. If you're working in television, there's few basic hand gestures. If you kind of are twirling your finger in a circle, that's wrap it up.
Which is the one I commonly use.
Yeah,
for
that's the one that Paul uses the
programming.
most. That's his favorite.
I don't really need to use the other.
Other than
things.
flipping the bird, that's Paul's favorite TV gesture. A gesture. Gesture?
It's a gesture.
It's a gesture. Yes. Duke of Doubt. We're getting back into Hamburglar. Okay.
It's the other memories starting to bleed in.
Yeah. Then there's the counting down. If you do with your you put your hand out and then you count down. You show 5 fingers, 4 fingers, 3 fingers, 2 fingers, and then on the 1 you point at them because that's their action. You don't say 1 or even show 1 because it's too late. You don't need to count a 1 second.
Right.
If you got
because
one,
of the live stream, you don't want the 1 bleeding into your audio.
yeah, and then the 1 if you got your 1 finger up, that's really 1 minute.
This one.
No, not that one. 1 finger is 1 minute, and then if you make the C, okay, if you make the letter C with
want
your
a Big
hand,
Mac?
yeah, it looks like you're holding a sandwich. That is 30 seconds, and the reason that is it used to be in the old school, like in the 50s, they would show a full circle with 2 hands, 2 C's put together to make a 1 minute. So that was the old school 1 minute, is to make a circle like that. But really, you can just show 1 finger for 1 minute, and then you can show the C for 30 seconds. And then when you get down to 5 seconds, or maybe you could even do, you could show 10 if you want to. But 10 fingers, 9 fingers, 8 fingers, all the way down to 2, and then point action, and then or whatever, or the you could cut, which is just a sort of like
slit your throat,
slit in the throat with your fingertips. So there you go, a little lesson. Right. I guess we sort of
and like the common one I use.
And
is
now
the
you know.
Now you know. So is this Alan Smithy Explains?
This could be Alan Smithy Explains.
So now it has to be Sir Bestow reacts.
Sir Bestow 4 reacts.
4? Am I 4?
I don't know.
What's the tattoo on my wrist mean?
It means you just got off a rail car.
All right. I think it's time for this.
I think you're right. No, Holocaust humor always means it's time to go. All right. So thank you so much for listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. Next time, hopefully, it will not be Alan and Smithy. It will be the real Mr. Lobo, who actually is a little bit more on the ball, I guess.
And maybe poll number 7, but I don't know.
All right. Well, with that being said, and then maybe, I don't know, I guess we'll do another celebrity interview perhaps next week. You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say pODDcast.
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Dead House Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com, or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as BESTOW TV, at BESTOW.TV. On YouTube /BESTOW TV, on Twitter at BESTOWPROD, PROD, and on Facebook, BESTOW TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. That's patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.